FBI Director nominee Christopher Wray distanced himself from Fire Director James Comey today. Wray addressing Comey's handling of the Hillary Clinton email scandal during a Senate confirmation hearing today.
That in my experience as a prosecutor and as head of the criminal division, I understand there to be department policies that govern public comments about uncharged individuals. I think those policies are there for a reason. I think they're important, and I would follow those policies.
Okay.
I can't imagine a situation where, as FBI director, I would be giving a press conference on an uncharged individual, much less talking in detail about it.
Our next guest says Comey may have committed a crime after the recent revelations concerning his handling of classified information. Joining us here tonight, Fox News anchor, former defense attorney Gregg Jarrett. Gregg, great to have you here.
Nice to be here, Lou.
An unusual hearing today in which, as I said to Ed Rollins earlier, you would have thought that the Democrats were leading the Judiciary Committee and the U.S. Senate in the questioning that unfolded. And to hear again, in this case, a nominee to be FBI director, in the case of James Comey, and former FBI director, talking about an independent agency, which it is patently, constitutionally not.
It's one of those myths that seems to have gained currency and credibility just all on its own. The fact is the president can direct the attorney general and the FBI director to investigate a matter or to stop investigating a matter. He has absolute power to do that. He runs the executive branch. They serve at his pleasure. He can hire and fire him for a reason or no reason at all. This matter of independence just sort of came about sua sponte on its own over the last 20, 30 years as FBI directors and AGs began to assert on their own independence. But it's a myth.
With varying degrees of talent and aptitude for the job they held. Again, Christopher Wray today saying that he thinks that that Robert Mueller is just doing a bang-up job. He didn't say that literally. But that it wasn't a witch hunt, as the president has asserted. He's got 14 people that he's brought in. There's not a Republican donor among them, and a handful of Hillary donors.
That's right.
It is on its face not an impartial assemblage.
No, it absolutely isn't. And in fact, when you look at the assignment given to him by Rod Rosenstein, the acting attorney general, it tasks him with finding a crime that doesn't exist in the law, colluding with Russians. There is no such statute. There is no such law. Collusion exists only in antitrust law. So it's a legal impossibility for Robert Mueller to perform his job. And, you know, it's bewildering to me that anybody thinks that Robert Mueller can be fair and impartial and unbiased and not lent toward favoritism. The key witness in this case, who is himself perhaps committing a crime, is close personal, longtime friends, allies, and partners with Robert Mueller. It's in a protege, a mentor relationship. Is the mentor going to investigate and, if warranted, prosecute his protege? Of course not. So it's an inherently unfair process. Mueller should not be the special counsel.
And so we can, I assume you're suggesting, we can expect him to resign out of just a tormented conscience immediately.
You and I will grow really old waiting for that to happen. It won't happen.
Then the President of the United States, the Attorney General, who should tell him to get the hell out and tell everyone now that we're going to do this honestly and forthrightly before the American people. We're going to acknowledge that the FBI is not an independent agency, the director not an independent job, and thirdly, that there is a responsibility that is laid out by statute that the special counsel be impartial.
That's right. And I'm not suggesting the president should fire Robert Mueller because that would create political chaos. Not legal, but political chaos. The president could do it if he wants to. I've written a column that says the president ought to use the power of the bully pulpit to make a case publicly, putting pressure on Robert Mueller to voluntarily step down so that somebody who is fair and impartial can take over as special counsel. There are some things that should be investigated. James Comey. It appears he took home 7 documents, 4 of which may have been classified documents, That's a crime. That's exactly what David Petraeus did and pled guilty to. John Deutsch did and was prepared to plead guilty to before he was pardoned.
Right.
And it's exactly what Hillary Clinton did and should have resulted in her indictment. You can't take a classified document home with you and stick it in a drawer. It's an unauthorized, unsecure place. It's a clear violation of the Espionage Act. It's a crime. It needs to be investigated. And if Comey did these things, he needs to answer for it legally. He's in legal jeopardy, in my judgment.
And the country is in jeopardy of as you say, a government that is off the rails. To watch that Judiciary Committee today, and Christopher Wray, who otherwise may be a fine fellow.
Yeah, he's a very smart man.
To perform as he did in such a graceless and, in my opinion, uninformed way about both the Constitution and the law, and to have the committee so interested in their own partisan cant and interests that somewhere beneath it all was submerged the interest of the country. The President of the United States has got to be beside himself watching this go forward. Every citizen should be beside themselves to have to put up with this.
Well, hypocrisy and duplicity in Washington is endemic, and it's everywhere. And we saw it today on stage at that committee hearing today.
And we watched a bunch of self-satisfied senators and a nominee clucking to themselves in self-aggrandizement and satisfaction.
Well said.
Good to have you here, Greg.
Sure.
As always, well said yourself, sir.
Thank you.
Gregg Jarrett.